Hey everyone, welcome to the long-awaited episode 8 of my truck bed camper build, where I'll be doing some finishing up on the exterior and working on building out the inside. If you're new here, you might want to check out my channel and go back to episode 1 to start from there, or start at the end and go backwards, I don't care. If you're a returning viewer that's been waiting an entire year for me to come out with the next episode of the truck bed camper build, then I'm sorry about that. I went for a year-long bike ride and had a pretty good time doing that, and you can check out some videos of that on my channel. Anyways, as you can see, I'm working on caulking the window here. Recently I was told by a girl that I'm really good at caulking. On the other hand, my mom tells me I'm handsome, so who knows what to believe. I'm just kidding. My mom doesn't tell me I'm handsome. I just wanted you guys to think I was cool. Caulking isn't one of my favorite jobs. In fact, I really hate caulking. But I'm using a clear, flexible, waterproof caulking for the door and the windows to seal everything up. And it doesn't look clear at the moment because it actually goes on white so that you can see it, and then it dries clear, which is pretty helpful. And I'm dipping my finger into that bucket over there, because if you have a bucket of soapy water, you can dip your finger into the bucket and smooth things out and not have caulk stuck to your finger, which is pretty nice because I sure don't want to have a whole bunch of caulk stuck to my finger. I'm not really sure how many times I'm going to manage to say caulk before the end of this clip, but you sure can't talk about caulking a window without saying caulk, so I guess I'll just have to say caulk as many times as I need to say caulk to explain to you guys what I'm doing with this caulk. I could tell you that you need as much caulk as possible, but the truth of the matter is I don't like caulking and I don't like caulk, so the best way to do this is to put as little caulk as possible so that you don't have caulk all over the place, because you really don't want caulk all over the place. You want a minimum amount of caulk. So run a nice small bead, all nice and neat, and smooth it out with your finger. And remember to use that bucket of soapy water so you don't have caulk stuck all over you. Some people will lick their finger to smooth out the caulk, but that's not the right way to go, because as soon as you get some caulk on your finger and then you go to lick your finger again, the next thing you know, you've got a bunch of caulk in your mouth, and that's not really something that I want, so I don't know about you. And for those of you who are giggling like schoolgirls because they're not hearing the silent L in the word caulk and thinking that I'm saying some other word, then you're a dirty pervert and we should be friends. So probably just subscribe to the channel, because we might as well always all just group together. But seriously though, if you're sitting here watching me caulk and paying attention to whether I'm doing a good job or not, please do me a favor and go down to the comments and take a minute to rate my caulk. Mike Hawk. That sounds like it would be the name of some kind of a race car driver or something. Not as cool as the name Max Powers, but Mike Hawk is a pretty cool name. This clip's going on for quite a while, and it's a good thing it's in fast forward. It always takes me a really long time to caulk something, because I like to try and do a good job at caulking, and I always want to make sure I fill all of the gaps with caulk. It's really important to make sure I worked my caulk into every hole and filled it up. Take your time and do a really good job with your caulk. You always want to make sure that you get your caulk in there nice and deep, and that way you're less likely to get any on you and get all sticky, and you really don't want to get all sticky because you didn't get your caulk in deep enough. So yeah, take your time, do a good job with your caulk. The more you take your time and do a good job, the more satisfying the results of working your caulk will be. This clip's almost done, so I'm going to say caulk 3 more times. Caulk, 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 and then we'll get on to the next step. Stick with me, I might actually say something useful. Or maybe I won't say anything useful. Who knows? But I bet you're feeling really curious now to find out, and you're probably going to watch the end of the video just to see if I say anything more useful or if I just talk about caulk. Well, after that last clip, I got sent to my room, and here I am inside, and this area up top is going to be for storage, so I need to trim it out so that I can put doors on it. Before I can trim it out, I need to fur out the areas where I hadn't put mahogany sheeting on already, and so that it's all nice and flat and sticks out the same amount. And this part doesn't have to be like super perfect because it's all going to get covered up by trim. So you can see I'm just cutting it inside with the skill saw here, and I'm scribing my lines instead of using tape measure and measuring things, because scribing is almost always quicker and better than using a tape measure. Oh, I lied. I just used a tape measure there. Well, yeah, you win some, you lose some. Anyways, you can do things a lot of different ways. The right way to do it is the way that works and gets the job done. So, as you can see, I'm pretty close to getting this furred out. I'm tacking it in with the 16 gauge brad nails. And now that I've got that all furred out, I'm measuring the openings and measuring the spaces around them so that I can make a frame to put it in, all trimmed out, ready to go. Here I'm ripping down some boards to custom make the trim to fit the holes and fit the spaces around it. And part of why I'm using bigger boards is just because that's what I had. So you can rip big boards into small ones, and there you go. There you have small ones. And I'm cutting up miters so that I can build the jamb for my door frame. I'm going to build it, not door frame, window frame. I'm going to build it all outside so that it's all one piece. It's much easier to do it that way, and then just nail on the casing. Wait a minute. It is a door frame. It's a frame for like a cabinet door, not a window. Just goes to show that it doesn't matter what words you use. It really doesn't fucking matter, as long as the person that you're talking to understands what you mean. Which, in my case, who knows if anybody really understands what the fuck I'm talking about, but you get the point. And here I am back inside, caulking some more joints. I don't know why I'm back inside caulking some more joints partway through making the door frames. Maybe I have ADHD. I absolutely do totally have ADHD. But also, it could be because I wanted to make sure that the caulking on the joints that are going to get covered or close to covered by the door frames, I wanted to get that done before the frames went in, because the trim could interfere with me getting at the joints to caulk them. And that's probably it. But also, I have ADHD, so I have a hard time wanting to continue to do the same thing for too long. Which, if you have that problem as well, or if you don't, it's you can really accomplish whatever you want. The way that works for you is always the way that works best. So you do whatever works for you. The right way is the way that works for you and gets the job done and lets you enjoy doing something. A lot of people are out there and not doing stuff. In fact, a lot of people are out there watching some asshole on YouTube with beard and some camouflage pants and a sweater that makes him look fat and a belly that makes him look fat, caulking a truck bed camper instead of getting out there and building a truck bed camper. So if you're watching this video, you should probably think about like actually doing something that you want to do instead of getting stuck here watching videos. Because, well, I'm glad you're watching the video, but I think you should really get out there and do something awesome. And you're watching this video because you're not. So get out there and make something. Maybe you'll succeed, maybe you'll fail, maybe you'll have fun, maybe you won't. At least you won't be watching me look like I'm about to do some plumber because my pants are falling down. Or if you've been doing stuff all day and you're just taking a break, then probably subscribe to my channel and watch me do other stuff. And here I am back set up a flat surface to put together my jamb for my cabinet doors, and then I am going to put the casing on it, which is casing is a fancy word that means trim that goes on the wall, on the face of the wall, for a door or a window. And it doesn't matter if you use the special word or call it, you could call it a banana if you wanted to. Special words aren't super important. They help you talk to people about what you're talking about, but that's about it. And I'm not sure why I'm suddenly talking about words and which words mean what and what words you need to use and all of that jazz. But hey, look at that. I got 2 sets of jams done. So here's my my casing. Starting that out, there's a really steep angle in one of these miters, but which is tricky to cut, but I probably did it in a super unsafe way that you really don't need to see and copy. Tacking these on to the door jamb with 16 gauge brad nails. Gonna glue all the joints, and I've marked 3/16 reveal, I think, on these, so they're set back from the edge of the door jamb 3/16 of an inch. And what that actually does is lets you hide any little teeny tiny imperfections, so you don't actually have makes it so you don't have to match the casing up exactly perfectly to the jamb. And the measurement itself doesn't need to be a specific measurement. So it doesn't have to be 3/16. You can just pick an amount with a pencil on the wood that looks good, and then hold your pencil, use it with a finger fence, and put that same mark everywhere. You do want to have consistency in your reveal size, because it's like all things in the carpentry. It doesn't matter if you fuck something up. Just fuck it up the same everywhere else, and it'll look on purpose. All super professional, because all of the fuck ups look like they're all the same, and if everything is the same, then it's all on purpose, and it must be supposed to be like that, and nobody will really know the difference. And here I am back inside and working on the bed. Is it there a reason for why I'm working on a bed, or is it just ADHD? Well, the bed bone is connected to the cabinet door bone, and everything kind of has to tie in together and fit. So as you can see, I've got one of the cabinet door frames set in place. It's not nailed in. And then that lets me know how much of a space I need underneath of it, so that the rail that my bunk bed platform sits onto will have enough space to slide in underneath of the cabinet door frame. I wanted to get the bunk bed upper bunk set up as high as possible, so that the lower bunk is in a teeny tiny small tunnel, but it also has to sit low enough that it clears the cabinet door frame. Now, you could measure everything and do a whole bunch of mathing and figure out exactly where to put it, or you can set something in place and just see where it works out. You don't necessarily need measurements for everything. And here I'm instead of caulking that top seam, which is it's a little bit messy too, I'm just putting a piece of trim over top of it. You don't actually need to cut an angle on the edge of these. You can just put a thin piece of trim straight across. And now I'm caulking all the rest of the joints. Probably doesn't really need to be caulked along there. It could be separate, but any corners that light can get into and get trapped will make the interior of any kind of a room darker. So if I caulk those and then it gets painted later, then those little cracks in by the bed rail they won't trap light inside, and it'll make it a little bit brighter inside, and it also won't trap dirt or loose change or a credit card or random loose key or something like that. So it's always pretty good to not lose things in a little crack and have to tear things apart just to get out of it, because it was something important. You don't have to play with your cock alone, but you should definitely do it in private and not in a movie theater like Pee Wee Herman. As you can see, I'm fingering my cock again. You definitely want to use a lot of lube if you're going to be fingering your cock. And please, for the love of God, stop sending me pictures of you fingering your cocks. And here I am back outside again, making one of the two bed platforms. So I designed the bed, well, designed is a loose term. Anyways, I planned for what I want to do is make the bed so that it can be a bunk bed, so that it can fold up into a couch, and so that it can be a big bed. And so when the bed is the big bed version, it is a queen size bed, and that'll let me get a queen size mattress and cut it in half, and then use the two halves of the queen size mattress to be either a bunk bed or a queen size bed for two people, bunk bed for two people when you don't want to sleep next to the person, or fold up into a couch to be out of the way and a nice place to relax. I've got 2x2s that I ripped down, and the 1/2-inch good one side plywood, and I'm gluing and screwing all the joints around the edges with miter cuts, just because it's nice to not have end grains that suck up a ton of paint or whatever, and just don't look quite as good. You really don't need to miter the joints. It would work just fine without doing that. Although, if you do miter the joints, then you get a bit more glue surface, and you get two end grains, so you're end grain to end grain instead of end grain to side grain. And now that I've got that all together, I'm just running a round over bit around the edges with the router there, just to smooth things out and not have really any sharp edges that can give someone a splinter or scrape or whatever, and just giving it a quick sand. It doesn't need to be super awesomely sanded or anything like that, because it's just going to get a mattress on it. So, yeah. And I'm back inside doing a test fit of my bed flat platform. So I tried it out on top first, and seems to fit there, and it does sag a little bit in the middle, so I'm going to need to do something about that at some point. And then in a second here, I'm going to check it out on the bottom. I made one instead of just making both of them, because if it didn't work, then I'd rather fuck it up once and have to fix it once than have to fix it twice. It is faster to make things two at a time or whatever, but it's faster to not have to change things. And as you can see, I'm sort of moving it around and seeing how it works, and seeing what hits where. And so I've realized I need to cut a notch out of the corner for it to fold up and go away. Since the size of the notch that I need to cut is fairly small, I'm able to just put a little 45-degree angle brace piece in there and then cut out the notch. So as you can see, I'm marking out the notch and taking out the screws that aren't supposed to be there, because I'll be cutting into them if I have to, and just cutting out my notch with a jigsaw. So it retains all its structural strength, and it gets its notch in there, and just rounding those off with the router, and about to go and see if it works as soon as I finish putting in some screws. And getting it all set up. Not sure why I'm measuring a bunch of stuff here, but I am. And oh, maybe I made it too small. Yeah, it must be it. And so cutting it a little bigger. You can always cut things. Smaller, but you can't cut them longer. So if you cut things a little bit too big or too long, which seems the opposite because we're talking about the size of the notch, but if the notch is smaller, then you can cut it bigger. And if a board is longer, then you can cut it shorter. And you can see here how that little angled bracket sits in there, and it's not too bad, doesn't have too much gap in there. And we got some end grains, but that's okay. And here I am back inside test fitting it. And yep, it folds right up, and testing it on the top and the bottom, and everything works. So now I'm going to make the second bed platform. Not sure if I decided to put a notch in it like the other one, because there's two different platforms and they don't have to do the same job. We'll just have to wait and see. And I used my handy dandy homemade track saw to cut a perfectly straight edge with a skill saw. It's much easier than running a whole sheet of plywood through a table saw. And it looks like I am putting a notch into this one. Might as well make them both the same so that they're interchangeable. Or maybe this one, the notch is a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But anyway, let me get my notch in there ahead of time, and we'll see how this works out. Oh, actually, I decided that I'd make this one a lot different so that it actually can fold up on the back and inset right into the rail that the bed platform sits on. So that's what's going on here. And it has the notch as well so that it can fold up. And I'm just running around it and screwing it all together. And I'm probably going to be sanding it down to smooth it all out in a minute or two here. I'm not sure what else to say about this. I feel like definitely I should fill up this empty space with some kind of a voiceover. So maybe instead of just blabbing, then I'll suggest that maybe you should subscribe to the channel and like this video. And if you've been working on some kind of a project of your own, put a link to it in the comments. I'd really love to see what you guys are working on. Like to see what kind of things the people that are watching me do whatever the heck I'm doing. Be nice to see what kind of people those are and what you guys are working on. As an alternative to that, if you're working on something, or if you're not working on something, or you don't want to share, then but you have some questions about what the heck I'm doing, or why I'm doing what I'm doing, or why am I doing that, or how am I so damn good looking, then leave those questions in the comments, and I am really, really happy to answer any questions that you have. And yep, I am sanding. So sanding is like probably the funnest job on earth, and like people would pay to sand. Actually, that's not true. Hardly anybody likes sanding, and that includes me. So, just about done here, and about to take this inside and do a test fit, and if it fits, that means that the bed platform is a success and finished. So, I'm flipping it around. There's the queen size bed version. There's the bunk bed version. Fold that up. It can fold right away, and I'd say the bed is a success. Mission accomplished. And now it's time to lift this thing up to a height that I can back my truck under it. I'm using a high lift jack here that I have, and lifting it up a little bit at a time. I got it set under blocks, It's not super, super heavy. It is too heavy for me to just lift by hand. And it's there's an added level of sketchiness by doing it completely by myself, although having help can make things worse too, depending on who's helping you. So I'm lifting up each end up a little bit at a time and setting it under something new at the new height, and hoping that things don't come crashing down on me. I'm not going to claim to be a super safe person or know exactly what I'm doing all the time. So don't do what Donnie Don't does. Use your own poor judgment to accomplish whatever task you're trying to do. I think I just walked away to measure the height of my tailgate and see how tall I really need to make this thing. And I'm scratching my head a lot, and it's that's really just me wondering, is this going to tip over and fall on me and be a horrible disaster? Spoiler alert, that doesn't happen, unfortunately, because if it was a horrible disaster, then I'd probably have a bit more of a viral video on my hands. But maybe people will watch when things go right anyways. The reason I keep sticking that 2x4 up there is because my plan is to just screw the 2x4 legs onto the corners so that they'll hold it up and I can back the truck underneath of it. And the amount of times that 2x4 falls over and I pick it up, I probably could have just left it on the ground and waited until the end. So getting closer there. I don't know why I'm measuring the height at the back instead of the height at the front, which is what's going to really matter, but I guess I probably had some kind of a plan. So getting higher and higher up there, and almost there where I can finally get this thing onto my truck and see how it works out. So lifting up to my final height, which is hopefully going to fit into the bed of my truck. And then in a second here, I'm going to screw the two 2x4 legs into place. So I got to move those the sawhorses and the board out of the way, because they were right in the way of where the board has to go. Now, these boards are not super stable, and it's pretty damn sketchy for it to be held up on them. So I'm probably about to have just the front up on the boards and the back on the much more stable base. But we'll see what I do. And yeah, it looks like the front is on there, and taking the jack away, and which is always a little nerve-wracking to see if everything collapses or not. And it seems to be holding up, so I will probably move away the front, or yep, there we go. I'm moving away with the support onto the front to make room for the tailgate of my truck. And I think I am clearing some room stuff, and oh, here we go. Oh, damn it. Is it, damn it? Oh. It just fits. That's great. So it fits, but the back end is sitting lower. I'm taking my time to make sure I don't knock everything over by running into something. So now that it's got a safety underneath of the tailgate, I am going to lift up the back end so that I can get it up high and get everything up high enough that I can get it the rest of the way onto the truck. So I'm trying I don't really want to move the truck with the back end just sitting on the jack, because the jack is not particularly stable. So I'm just putting some more blocking in, lifting it up, putting some more blocking in. Anytime you're lifting up something that's really heavy, it's a really good idea to be really, really careful, because you run a good chance of something heavy being on top of you, and that's not a good thing, because if you couldn't lift it to begin with, you're not going to be able to lift it when it's on top of you either. and it's a tight fit, so it's really tricky to back into that, and I have to get back in and out a lot of times and just check everything because I'm doing this by myself. I don't have someone to yell at me if I'm going to hit something or if something's going to get fucked up, which I don't know, that's fine. It might take a little bit longer, but you don't have to depend on someone to spot for you. So now that I got it further onto the truck and things are a little bit more stable and safer, I've got it lifted up a little bit with just the jack, and I need the underside clear, so I'm screwing the 2x4 stilts into the sides, and hopefully I should be able to get the camper the rest of the way into the truck, except for the jack, so I'll be able to get up to the tailgate. And now that I got to the tailgate, I'm taking out the jack, and here we go. Holy crap, man! It felt really good to get it into the truck finally and see what it looks like. Unfortunately, because I added trim and sheeting and other things, I miscalculated slightly, and it's actually about 1/8 of an inch too long for the tailgate to close. So that's something that I am going to fix in the next video. I'm going to trim so that I can close the tailgate, because I would it's really handy to have the backup camera working on the tailgate of the truck, and I am not an electrical wizard, so putting a new backup camera somewhere is not something I'd want to do. And also I like having the little porch of the tailgate down, so taking the tailgate off is not really what I wanted to do with this. I wanted to have the tailgate there, and I would hold the camper in place and also provide an extra layer of security by locking the truck. And now you can see I'm letting the weight down, using a pry bar to see if I can push it forward a little bit. And everyone says about the Dodges or Rams, because they don't have leaf springs, they have coils, that as soon as you put something in, it squats back end right down. So either the camper isn't too super heavy, or those people are just princesses, or they're funny and brand loyal. But I think it actually it didn't go too bad. It's sitting reasonably level. Actually, it squatted down a bit, but of course that's to be expected. Like, that happens if I get into the back of the truck. So anyways, we're just about done with this video, and still trying to close that tailgate. We'll get that closed in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.